Parshas Vaiyshlach. This shiur I would like to dedicate to all victims of abuse. I hope that hostages will be released soon, and people who suffer any kind of abuse, that they will be healed, and especially people who went through sexual abuse. This week's Parsha starts with meeting of two brothers. Two brothers, Jacob, Yaakov, and Esau, who separated with very strange circumstances, I would say. For those who don't know what happened in previous parshiot, I will remind that Esau sold his firstborn right to Yaakov, and later on Yaakov took the blessing, bracha, intended to be for Esau. So obviously Esau, seeing his violent personality and very furious character as described by our sages in Midrash and commentaries, as well in Torah itself, we imagine that Esau was very angry at his brother and wanted to kill him. This was also the reason why Jacob fled from his parents' house and spent 20 years with Lavan, and in total he was absent 34 years. He spent 14 years studying in the academy of Shem and Eber, and 20 years, as we know, he spent in Haran, serving 7 years for Rachel, and then got diseased by his father-in-law, Lavan, got another wife, Leah, and then he had to serve another 7 years for Leah, and then he just worked 6 years there for his family to gain some livelihood. Obviously, Yaakov was also cautious. He was afraid. That moment when he was meeting his brother, he had already family. He had already 11 sons. He had 4 wives. He was afraid for them as well. But still, despite all the things that were going on between them and all the negative feelings, they were still brothers. They still had common parents, such a holy parents like Isaac, Yitzchak, and Rivka. According to the Zohar, Yaakov took the initiative in seeking the reconciliation while Isaac was still alive, because given Esau's great respect for his father, it seemed logical that he would make peace with Jacob to avoid saddening his father. It's in details recorded in Torah how two brothers met. The confrontation between the brothers is recorded to illustrate how God sent an angel to save his servant from hand of a stronger enemy. Furthermore, it shows that Jacob did not rely on his own righteousness, but strove mightily to ensure his safety through practical measures. What were these measures? Jacob divided his preparations in 3 parts. Why he was so prepared? He obviously was afraid because on surface it would seem like Jacob's fear of his brother was because of lack of faith in Hashem, because Hashem promised him to protect him all the way from Haran and to Haran and back. As well as a promise that Hashem will return him to Eretz Israel. And Rashi explained this, that righteous people are never sure of themselves. And that is why Jacob was afraid that he might have sinned in the interim and thereby forfeited his right for the godly shield from harm. They know better than anyone else how awesome are their responsibilities and how easy it is to fall short. According to the opinion of the sages cited by Rashi, Jacob did not know of any specific sins, but was sure that there might have been some. This is just an example of how righteous people are afraid that they might even not willingly committed some sin and have no favor in eyes of God, while sinners commit huge transgressions and don't mind of committing another one without having fear of God at all. So therefore Jacob made different preparations, 3 kinds of preparations, like military preparation and as well prayer. Of course, that's what Jewish people do when they are preparing or afraid. So it was a tribute for Asaph. He wanted to please him so that Asaph would not get furious at him and will not harm his family. That night, Jacob had significant event which happened to him. I will not go into details about how 2 brothers parted. It was on one side very touching. When they saw each other, they kind of had emotional connection and embraced each other, kissed and wept. But there were much more than that, because in any case, Asaph came with 400 men meeting Jacob, and Jacob was only with his 11 yet small children and women and some servants and his house, let's say his household and his flock. What happened later, I want to put more attention on, because I can relate to that, and this is also for what I would like to dedicate my shiur. That night, Jacob had as well significant event, as I said, and that was the struggle with the angel. The confrontation between Jacob and a man, was one of the cosmic events in Jewish history. It is said, verse 23, "But he got up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 handmaids and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Yabbok. And when he took them and had them cross over the stream, and he sent over his possessions. Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the break of dawn. When he perceived that he could not overcome him, he struck the socket of his hip. So Jacob's hip socket was dislocated as he wrestled with him. Then he said, "Let me go, for down is broken." And he said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." He said to him, "What is your name?" He replied, "Jacob." He said, "No longer will it be said that your name is Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with the divine and with men and have overcome." After this event, Jewish people became not only blessed as a nation, but also stated in Torah that therefore the children of Israel are not to eat the displaced sinew of the hip socket to this day, because he stuck Jacob's hip socket on the displaced sinew. Till now we not eating, because we also can't find exactly what it is, but we not eating the back side of animal till these days. The rabbis explained that this man was the guardian angel of Asaph. The sages teach that every nation has a heavenly power and angel that guides its destiny on earth and acts as an intermediary between the nation and God. Two nations, however, are unique: Israel and Esau. Israel needs no go-between. It is God's own people. He don't need like intermediaries or brokers. We don't pray to any angels. We don't pray to any. We not confess to rabbis. We confess to God directly. We pray to God directly. There are no intermediaries between us and God. And Jacob, because his image is engraved upon God's throne of glory, symbolizes man's highest potential. Esaph's guardian angel is different from all the others, for just as Asaph optimizes evil, so his angel is the prime spiritual force of evil, Satan himself. Satan descends and seduces man to sin when he ascends to incite God from prosecuting man for his sinfulness. And then he receives permission to take man's life. Satan, the evil inclination, and the angel of death are one and the same. The angel of Esau had to attack Jacob because at the last and greatest of the patriarchs, Jacob, symbolized man's struggle to raise himself and the rest of the world with him, and Satan exists to cripple that effort. Thus the battle between Jacob and the man was the eternal struggle between God and evil, between man and capacity to perfect himself, and Satan's determination to destroy him spiritually. So from this we learn that Satan is actually evil. Well, evil is a force also which prevents us from moving further in our growth, in not only spiritual, in life, in doing whatever is good for us. His ultimate purpose to bring us down. And we many times, many of you, I'm sure, have witnessed moments where we try to change our lives somehow, to do something better, or just to plan to have more productive, maybe more holy life, or just maybe, I don't know, to have healthier eating habits, or like it's very popular between Western people to have like it's a tradition almost that on 1st of December or 1st of January, when New Year starts, everybody have like lists of the things that they would like to do and drastically change their lives, like stop smoking, to have a healthier lifestyle, to have better relationships. I don't know, everyone different, to lose weight, to get a better job, to be a better person. Some people plan to learn more Torah, some people want to pray more. But at the moment when you make such a drastic change in your life and put yourself in front of such a confrontation and want to make such a big step, then it's where Satan comes in play and says like, this is really what you're thinking of, that's really what you're trying to do. So he will stand on your way to just don't make it. You know how many things come in between, how many things you try to do and it's not happening, how many of these things to do in your list on 1st January like collapse, like a, just like they disappear, just like same like they appear, and then you have the same list for the next new year. It's like his evil inclination, Yetzer Hara, is not obviously, bringing change in your life. Yetzer Hara bringing you down by small steps. I mean, down not only in sense of putting your mood down, but in sense of everything, degradation of your life. That's what he's of deterioration of light from your life, or diminishing light from your life, or diminishing life force from your life. Because if Satan of evil would show you the end picture of his plan, you would never fall into a trap. You would never want to do that thing. Let's say if you want to start smoking and you would see the end picture of how it, what happens to your lungs and stuff, will never start to do that thing. Or let's say if you want to do something very positive, let's say want to learn Torah, someone will call you, or then you want to, you will just start to get another thoughts, you will start to be willing to go to eat, or to watch a little bit more television, or to maybe do some, there will be something, always kind of little small excuses that will keep you away from doing the right thing. But as well, when you when you're doing not a right, not like a bad thing, I mean, really bad thing, evil will not push you to do straightforward the worst thing possible. Like, for example, criminals. Let's say take worst criminal. They don't become like worst criminals in one time, they don't wake up and start going and murdering people from first step. No, the evil takes them over very slowly, it's one step at a time, very slowly, because I'm sure that it doesn't matter how evil a person is, how evil, how bad, maybe person, named bad, I mean, not in only my eyes, but by the all laws of the normal society, of the civilized world. That person didn't become bad in one step. It becomes gradually, first you do a little thing, and evil inclination will tell you, it's all right, it's nothing, it's just a little thing, it's very fashion, and you will be cool, and you will be brave, and everybody will respect you, do just this little thing. And then you do that little thing, and then you do another little thing, and another little thing. It's like a snowball, which becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Because if to a normal person, when you are just, let's say, a teenager or a young person, if evil will show you the end picture of where will you end up, like imagine you will become like a murderer, or like the worst person you can imagine, and he will never do that. Let's agree. So this is a little bit of how evil inclination works in us, and Asaph, the brother of holy Jacob, was representing that. So obviously, even if they on the like basic level they felt like brothers, by the divine decree that was defined that they have completely two other different paths, although one and other will become great nations. And as you see, as our sages say, they both are special in one or the other way. Well, I will not recommend you to start to try to trick evil, but I believe myself and on my own experiences, and due to just, let's say, a simple fact that it happened to me with God's help to change my life significantly and to get out of certain situations. And, I didn't have that list on for 1st January. I was just doing it. Only one thing I've learned, it's don't try to make any significant and drastic change in your life. Moreover, don't announce it. Don't announce it to your friends, to your people. Don't put it on the list. Have this list in your mind. Don't tell it to no one. Just keep it for yourself. Keep it for yourself and try to do little things. Like if you want to learn something new, just don't, make any marketing of it. Not for, just go and do it. And do it little things by little things. One step at a time, small step. And, you'll get there, because it works. I mean, just use the same system that Satan uses. Use the same system that evil uses. He is not putting you, in a pit in one step. He's just not throwing you in the pit in one step, because you will also find power and strength within yourself to combat this. You will not allow this to happen. Like drug addict people, they not go straight away to shut the heroin or something. It's step by step, one step at a time. Satan, evil inclination always uses one step at a time. So if you want to change your life, if you want to get somewhere, do the same. Do one step at a time without announcing it, because once you announce it, evil inclination will start hitting you back very hard. So keep it for yourself and do your thing one step at a time. Now I would like to get to another part of this story, and this is, to be specific, it is what happened in Shechem. Shechem is not first time mentioned in Torah, and it's very interesting because first time when Shechem was mentioned in Torah, let me be more specific, it was mentioned in Parshas Lech Lecha, when Avraham and Sarah left Haran, and as it is said, Avraham passed into the land as far as the site of Shechem, until the plain of Moreh. This is when they, together with his wife Sarah, stopped there, and where as well happened to be that Jacob Avinu with his children as well stopped there, and Dinah, his daughter, she was daughter of Leah, got abducted. She was raped. In fact, it is said Now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had bore to Jacob, went out and took over the daughters of the land. Shechem, son of Hamor and Hivit, the prince of the region, saw her. He took her, lay with her, and violated her. He became deeply attached to Dinah, daughter of Jacob. He loved the maiden and appealed to the maiden's emotion. So Shechem spoke to Hamor, his father, saying, "Take me this girl for a wife." Jacob had overcome the terrible trials in his life. For over 20 years, you know what happened to him. Imagine what he had to go through. And he believed that at last he would find tranquility in Eretz Israel, as the end of the last chapter indicates. But suddenly, he faced unexpected crisis. His family, which is called on to be a nation of priests and God's standard bearer on earth, had to experience a moral outrage upon its own flesh and blood right now, right from the beginning. It had undergo this situation, and world could see then in its swift and uncompromising reaction and will realize that the situation will absolutely not be tolerated. What happened later, I will tell in a minute, but I would like to just how bring these two stories together. Avram and Sarah coming to Shechem, and then these things happening to Dinah as well in Shechem. Because Torah, from the beginning on, and everything is happening approximately in the same places. It's all happening in the same region, but it's only, kind of unfolding with new, if you want to say so, consciousness. We get every new parsha, we get the story unfolding. It's kind of developing. It's all developing there in the same places, and Ramban with an N states a fundamental principle in understanding the Torah narratives concerning the patriarchs. Whatever happened to the patriarch is a portent for the children. The Torah relates at length such incidents as their journeys, digging a wells, because they serve as lessons for the future. And thus, Avram's stopover in Shechem, in addition to his prayers for Jacob's son, who would one day fight against Shechem, was a portent that Shechem would be the first place to be conquered by Jews, near 300 years before Israel gained full possession of the land, when he encamped between Bethel and Ai, the later being the first place conquered by Joshua. So you see, it's all kind of developing like let's say photos. In the beginning of Torah, everything is in potential, and then it's kind of like photos. It's developing, its growth, and becoming. There's becoming something. We start to realize and see. So, like, in my opinion, you can call it like kind of evolution, and an example, allegorical example of it. Let's say we not find out, it's not by miracle that suddenly we have cars and we have gas, or benzolene or internet or all these things that we have now, electricity. It all was in the beginning. It was in potential. We had no brain capacity and no consciousness capacity to see and know these things. And in terms as we developed, we find out how to use this stuff. So the same is in Torah. It's all in potential there. It's kind of if you would take 10 sephiros and from the top world is kind of all descending down to this world of Malchus, that where we find ourselves now. It's kind of crystallizes, the crystallization of human being as we are right now to this state of consciousness. And when Moshiach will come, our sages teach that we will elevate our consciousness again to another level, that we will be able to understand it, like now, for example, Korban or bringing animal sacrifices, which are required from us when Moshiach will come, are required from us. And that's what our forefathers did, and that's what we will be required to do when Moshiach will come. Only at this moment, we see it as cruel, but at that time when Mashiach will come, we will have such a shift in our consciousness that we will understand and will be able to see why is this happening. So let's get back to what happened to Dina. In fact, this guy, with simple words, he just abused her and wanted her to become his wife. What happened then is Jacob didn't want to go to fight. He was with two little people. We had like his children, his wives, his maybe servants, and he had no army. He was in the region of Canaan where all these separate kings and separate folks could unite against him and just destroy him, to just literally eliminate him, remove him from earth. But his two sons fought differently. Where it comes to is that at some point they make agreement with this gentleman who wanted to have Jacob's daughter, who he abused for himself and wanted to marry her. They made a deal that they will circumcise themselves and then they will be able to intermarry, because it was forbidden for us Jewish people to intermarry with uncircumcised people, uncircumcised nations. So they agreed to these terms and wanted, of course, all the story about Jacob was going. They were famous. Everybody knew still yet story of Abraham and all the miracles that were happening to him, and everybody knew that we are holy. So they wanted to intermarry and to be on good terms, of course. So on the third day after circumcision, when they were weak, let me read it. And it came to pass on the third day, then they were in pain, the two of Jacob's sons, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brother, each took his sword, and they came upon the city confidently and killed every male. And Hamor and Shechem, his son, they killed at the point of sword. They took Dinah from Shechem's house and left. So, what kind of thought I'm getting when I'm thinking about that? Is in fact that there are two thoughts. Like when Jacob figure out what happened, he said, Jacob, I will first read and then I will share with you my thought. Jacob said to Shimon and Levi, you have discomposed me, making me odious among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites and among Perizzite. I am few in number, and should they band together and attack me, I will be annihilated. Sorry, my English is not my mother tongue. So I and my household. And they said, should he treat our sister like a harlot? God said to Jacob, arise, go up to Bethel and dwell there, and make an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you fled from Esau your brother. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, discard the alien gods that are in your midst, cleanse yourself and change your clothes. Then let us arise and go to Bethel. I will make there an altar to God, who answered me in distress and was with me on the road that I traveled. So they gave Jacob all the alien gods and that were in their possessions, and as well as the rings that were in the heirs. And Jacob buried underneath the terebinth near Shechem. They set out, and there fell a godly terror on the cities which were around them, so that they did not pursue Jacob's son. With other words, Jacob had nothing to fear, because what happened is already happened. But apparently God was on their side, because what Shimon and Levi did to protect their sister's honor, it is very important. I want to point out situations where children, or even older people, more older than children, getting abused, raped, and unfortunately, this happening often in families, and this abuse comes from people who are your direct family members or family friends. Very often, most of the time, this abuse happening not in the form of rape, it happening in the form of emotional abuse, where victim falls like a hostage within the nets of abuser. Like Dina herself in this case, because she felt emotionally attached to this guy who actually defiled her. This happening very often when children getting abused by family members, uncles, brothers, fathers, stepfathers, family friends. It is difficult to disattach yourself from that and to understand that this person has only narcissistic pursuit of love for himself and has no care about your well-being, because otherwise that person would not destroy you till such a level as it happening when sexual abuse takes place. Because that person can tell you any lies in the world, convincing you in his or her. Sometimes it's happening even the opposite way, but more often happening from man to woman, let's say. So often abuser can convince victim that it's love and they have best feelings, and that there is no obvious signs of rape in this kind of situation. So, and then emotional terror in terms of chantage, where that person can threaten you and telling you that if someone finds out and you will ruin family and you will ruin relation and it's your fault. So it's a very significantly grave situation that person can find themselves in. But what we learned from this parsha, we learn that it is very important to find someone to tell to. It is very important to don't keep this situation as a secret. First of all, it's very difficult to recognize when you find yourself within all this, when you are a victim of this kind of abuse. It is difficult. It is different. You find yourself with different feelings of shame, guilt, worthlessness. There is no strength, you might feel like broken because you finding yourself overpowered by a narcissistic person who is very skilled in playing your emotions and either triggering within you something and making you loyal to him or her, or making you afraid of him or her. In any case, this person might be very, very skilled in taking you under, and especially when it's a family member, you can't recognize any difference. You don't understand sometimes, even in such a small age, when you are really a child, you don't get even, you don't know even if this is normal behavior or not, which used to come. You just take world as it's given to you. You are just in the form of potential. There is no real identity in yourself. You don't know even what happened to you actually. But still, even when time passes, even when many years have passed by, it is very important to say. Because what we learn in this parsha is that there will be always people who will stand on your side, and there will be always people who will help you to bring your pride and honor back, and there will be always people who will help you to protect you and who will strive that abuser and not in the physical way like it happened in Torah and but there will be a godly terror which will be sent on those people who will get what they deserve after all. And this is very important to realize, because I myself have been in this situation, and I can tell you from the experiences that I have been holding to and what I left, and from the experiences that I have right now, it is very, very important to seek help, because there will be help. There are certainly people who will be willing to help, and God is on your side. He will absolutely send a godly terror on those people who abuse you. There is a Dutch saying like, Gods molen draait langzaam maar zeker. I just learned that from someone, which is actually means that, molen, which Holland is famous with, water molens, and I don't know how to say it in English, but I'm sure molen. So Dutch degree, with other words, comes slowly but certainly. So this is also, from my point of view, why Avraham then asked Sarah when they were in Haran, like in Parsha Lech Lecha, when he asked her to tell people in that region where we went down to Egypt, but doesn't matter, why he asked her to say that she was his sister. Because I believe that, on that level, that people had Ruach HaKodesh. They could feel on prophetical level. They knew things. They had much sharper absorbance of metaphysical world. On the metaphysical level, let's say with other words, on metaphysical level, they knew because of what happens to Dinah and how their brothers reacted for what happened to her. Those people in that region knew what will happen to those who defiled their sister. That's why I believe Avraham Avinu asked Sarah, tell them that you are my sister, because they will know that we will not leave our sisters and brothers, of course, in bad situations alone, like our hostages right now. Everyone have to know that we will stand for each and every one of our sisters, and we will support them either by prayers, which is the biggest weapon the Jewish people ever had, but also physically going and helping them out. So I hope that those people who experience any kind of abuse will find themselves in a situation to say no. I have to fight for myself as well by just bringing light into the situation, because evil is there where is no light. By just, bringing light, just, don't sit there alone in the dark room, just open the door, just let little bit light come in and the evil will start to disappear, because this is how it works. If you are experiencing any kind of abuse, just shed light on it, tell it to someone. You will see how things will develop. There will, in worst case scenario, say to 2-3 people if you will not understand, but keep this strength in yourself to fight for yourself. Don't allow abusers or persecutors, that Yetzer Hara, to take over you and bring you down. Just shed light, and you will see that there is more light that will come upon to you. More events that happened in this parsha were Yaakov's journey back to Bethel, and as well death of his beloved mother and her nurse, as well as blessing which Yaakov obtained from God himself. It is said, and God appeared to Jacob again, and when he came to Padan Aram, and he blessed him. Then God said to him, your name is Jacob, Yaakov. In Jewish people say Yaakov. Your name shall not always be called Yaakov, but Israel shall be your name. Thus he said his name. Thus he called his name Israel, and God said to him, I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a congregation of nations shall descend from you, and kings shall issue from your loins. And land that I gave to Abraham and Isaac, and I will give to you, and to your offsprings after you I will give the land. The God ascended from upon him in the place where he had spoken to him. Well, it's for us, I don't know, maybe for you, for those who don't understand about which kind of land we speak about, but we speak about Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, which is now the geographical location of land of Israel. We find on the same place which was the historical land. It's not complete land as historically was given to us, but the land of Israel finding itself on the historical place as God have promised to us and as God has given to us, and is this blessing, as God said, and the land that I gave to Abraham and Isaac I will give to you and to your offsprings, and after I will give the land. Another significant event, what happened in this parsha and in the end of this parsha, is reunion of Jacob and Isaac. It was sad opportunity when they had to reunite, but it says a lot. They reunited again when their father, Holy Isaac, died. One can only imagine the emotions and tears at this reunion. In addition to his 20 years with Lavan, Jacob had spent 2 years on route home. Back then there were no cars or high-speed trains or airplanes or El Al didn't exist back then. KLM as well not, or other airlines known now, they were not existent. So it was taking long way to get, especially with so many young children and pregnant animals. It took 14 years for him to study in Academy of Shem and Eber, and for a total separation with his father was 36 years. 36 years he haven't seen his father and mother. Probably a little bit less because Rebecca died previously, but still imagine how hard it was. They had no WhatsApp or Skype or Facebook back then. You just don't know. You don't even know if this person is alive. Jacob left back then and as an empty-handed. He had nothing. And when he returned, he had 12 righteous sons and a large camp. But the joy of reunion was clouded by the absence of Rachel, his beloved wife, who died in the meanwhile on their way and who was buried on the way during labor of her second son Benjamin. Father and son remained together until Isaac died 21 years later. Nevertheless, as is customary in Scripture, the Torah records a person's death when his role is over. But still, despite the relationship and tribulations that Yaakov had with Esau, his brother, and how hatred relationship was, and how hatred Yaakov was in the eyes of Esau, they both buried their father. And this parsha closes also with Chronicles of Esau and with his genealogy, as he as well plays significant role in history of humanity, as he is one of the forefathers, he's one of the forefathers. We have 3 Jewish patriarchs, and Esau actually could be as well our patriarch. But nevertheless, he became the patriarch of a Western nation called in Torah Edom. Edom means also, it comes from word red, because Esau was born red-headed. And he became the father of Western civilization, as is taught by our sages. With this, I will not go further with the Chronicles of Asaph. I don't think it is important or adding to our lesson. My lesson was most important message of this is that please don't keep yourself in darkness and find strength within yourself to switch on the light, whatever matters. Do it with small steps, because evil inclination will try to stop you. But knowing this, it should not stopping you, because it's not meant for evil to dominate our lives. As long as we keep evil unknown, if it's a person, if I'm talking about domestic abuse, or I'm speaking about like sexual or emotional abuse, as long as evil is undefined, as long as evil is not named, it remains evil. Because as soon as you spread light, as soon as you start speaking about the things, as soon as you start naming things with their real names, evil will disappear. It's like switching on the light. So I'm wishing you the strength and godly support, so that God will stand on your side as he was standing on the side of Dinah when her honor were put back. Thank you very much for listening. If you would like to support me in this mission, don't hesitate to make a small donation or take a contact with me. I will surely explain you more what I'm busy with at this moment, and I hope that God will help me. Have a lovely day and be well.